What have I been playing? What else? Another boomer shooter. I've been playing Indefatigable's Amid Evil, a spiritual successor to fantasy shooters like Heretic and Hexen. Amid Evil features medieval fantasy weapons like a variety of magical staves, swords, and axes. With a focus on exploration, Amid Evil features some really tight combat, with the starting axe being one of the most satisfying weapons I've ever used in a video game. Just the sound. Just the sound and the feedback from the enemies you get when you chop a dude in half is just mwah. The best, however, is undoubtedly the late game weapon that allows you to quite literally shoot planets. And the game even judges you if you shoot the Earth. Amid Evil is now available on PC, now with RTX support, with the Switch port coming soon. Recently, I've jumped on the bandwagon and played the game that everyone else is raving about, Among Us, the murder mysteries on a spaceship game that's essentially the card game Mafia, but in video game form. You play as either a crewmate or an imposter. Crewmates are just trying to do their tasks and get home to Earth. Imposters are, well, they don't want to get home. Imposters, instead of going around doing tasks, they go around faking tasks. And once they have the chance, kill other crewmates. And once a dead body is found and reported, the crewmates and imposters deliberate to try and figure out who did it. A classic whodunit in space. Among Us is available now on Steam for $5.99 and on mobile entirely free. As for what I've been playing recently, I've been replaying Batman Arkham Knight. The third and final game in Rocksteady's Arkham trilogy, Arkham Knight is massive both in scope and storytelling. The game map is one of the most detailed and interesting maps I've seen in an open world game, personally, and there's so much to do. Sure, some side missions can get a little repetitive, and the 243 various Riddler challenges are just a little annoying to get all of. You have to get them all if you want to access the true, full ending of the game, unfortunately. But Rocksteady have very much polished the gameplay of their series to, I would say, pristine quality. The combat, which has always been one of the franchise's hallmarks, feels almost perfect at times. Some of the best in-game combat you could find anywhere. I don't even find the game's reliance on the Batmobile that annoying. I mean, I think the tank sections feels really fun, although chase sections, particularly during the Firefly side mission, can quickly end very poorly if the car gets caught on a piece of the world's geometry and you have to spend a full 10 seconds trying to get the car back into place to continue driving. And by the time you actually get back into place, they've gotten away and you gotta wait for the spawn point to come back into the world. It's not fun. Story-wise, though, I personally feel the game falls a little short from its previous installments. A lot of the things work, but one thing, really the main conflict, the titular conflict, is almost an eye-rollingly lazy choice, but I've softened a bit on that particular plot point in the last 6 years since the game's launch. It's certainly one of the best comic book video games out there. Batman Arkham Knight is now available on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. I'm going to kind of condense this segment into another piece of news. Just last week, last Saturday, as of recording, Undertale hit indie sensation celebrated its 6th anniversary, and to celebrate, developer Toby Fox and 3 of the guys from Fangamer, who do all the merch for Undertale, decided to do a live stream playing through the first chapter of Deltarune. And at the very end, they dropped a "We gotcha" and said, "Hey, Deltarune Chapter 2 is coming out tomorrow." So, to sum up, I've been playing Deltarune. As a big fan of Undertale when it came out, standards were pretty high for Fox's follow-up. Thankfully, he didn't stray too far from the formula with Deltarune, which is a follow-up, but not a sequel. I'm really not too sure as of yet. Maybe it will become clear in Chapter 2. I don't know. I have yet to play Chapter 2 because it's been 3 years since Chapter 1 came out, so I decided to replay Chapter 1, and I only just finished Chapter 1 last night. That being said, it's still a very charming game featuring plenty of memorable and entertaining characters an engaging, if simple, battle mechanic, and some absolutely banging music. Again, I have yet to be able to play Chapter 2, but I'm sure I will enjoy it just as much, if not more, than Chapter 1. Hopefully. Apparently there are some bits in Chapter 2 that are frustratingly hard. So wish me luck. The first 2 chapters of Deltarune are currently available free of charge as a demo on PC, as well as Chapter 1 by itself is available on Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4.
I've been playing Dodgeball Academia, published by Humble Games this year in April and developed by Studio Pocket Trap. The game follows our main character Otto as he sneaks into the illustrious school of dodgeball, because it's one of those things where it's one random object rules the world, and this one it's dodgeball.
That sounds like a world I could get behind.
And he wants to learn how to be the best in the game. So you get to explore the school in a dodgeball RPG with 6 playable characters, each with their own special moves, fighting battle robots, ghosts, and other jealous students throughout 1 week to win the Grand Dodgeball Tournament. The gameplay is unique and fun. It's a little stale at the end, but you know what? The art style that it has, phenomenal. Great. Fantastic. It's beautiful. It's a great beginner's RPG with a lot of accessibility modes, so like your kid can play this and you can like make it easier for them. It's absolutely a blast. My only gripe is that this is a story that's inspired by anime cliches. So you get meta jokes about how characters are obligatory rivals because they all read too much sports manga, all while still being very cliched. Like, yes, my battle professors, even though they're the best in the game, they get thwarted by an actual child who showed up 5 days ago. You get cliches like that. But you know what? It's still fun. It's a cute indie game, and it's always nice to enjoy the indies. Dodgeball Academia is available on Nintendo Switch, Xbox consoles, PlayStation 4, and PC.
I've been playing recently the Doom Megawad entitled No End in Sight. Developed by the 3 Doom the Way It Did contributors Emil Brundage, Zazer Acheron, and Christopher Lutz. It is a kind of a recreation of the original Doom by these 3 guys. They went in with the mindset going, if id were to make Doom today, how would they make it? And let me tell you, it works phenomenally. There is some of the coolest level design in a classic Doom that I've ever seen. And boy, does it get hard. I was blasting through it, and then all of a sudden, bam, I got to this one level, and I only completed it today. I've been stuck on it for like a month, and I completed it right before coming to this studio. So that's my that's my accomplishment for today, and it'll be the last accomplishment I have today as well. Currently, Doom No End in Sight came out in 2016, and is currently available for anyone who owns the newest Unity ports that Bethesda has released for Doom and Doom 2. So if you have Doom on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, or even on Steam, you can currently play No End in Sight free of charge. You can play it free of charge anyways, because most Doom Megawads are free anyways. As a bonus game that I started playing literally an hour right before I got here, I've been playing the first-person shooter Dusk. Have you heard of this game?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
So Dusk is essentially, it's a first-person shooter, a boomer shooter, as the term has been coined recently. Essentially just a retro 90s-esque first-person shooter. It's very much a spiritual successor to something like Blood. First-person shooter, I've literally only played one level of this game, but I'm in a farm, creepy-looking farm. There's cultists and demonic goats and stuff. It's kind of rad. It starts you off with these 3, leather-faced-looking guys with chainsaws. All you got is 2 scythes. They don't do a lot of damage, so you kind of got to figure out how to kill them, and you pick up a rock and you just kind of chuck it at them, and they explode into guts. and then you get to dual-wield shotguns, and that's pretty cool. Dusk features music by Andrew Hulshult, who has recently done the music for Doom Eternal, The Ancient Gods Part 1, and I think Quake Champions he did the music for as well. Very good music. And I'd also like to give a shout out to the developer David Szymanski, who, after I beat that first level, I tweeted out, "Dude, this game rocks," and he liked my tweet.
Hey!
So thanks, David Szymanski. But yeah, that's Dusk. Dusk is currently available on PC and hopefully be coming to Switch soon, apparently. It says to be determined 2020, and we got 2 days left of 2020 as of the recording. So I don't think it'll be out this year, but coming to Switch probably next year.
It'll be a New Year's miracle.
Hey!
Many months later.
I've been playing recently a game I've actually mentioned on the show briefly before, Dusk. Ironic considering I covered Dusk 82 in the news. Dusk is a old school first-person shooter by David Szymanski, released under the New Blood Interactive Studio. I describe it akin to a kind of a spiritual successor to both Quake and Blood, both in its visual design aesthetics and its culty aspects that Blood has. When I covered it on the show before, I'd only played a single level, even then I'd already fallen in love with it. Now, coming back, God knows how long it's been since we recorded that episode.
I think like 6 months.
6 months later, I've actually beaten the game. And let me tell you guys, it is incredible. That first episode lulls you into a false sense of security. You think, oh yeah, this is just going to be a nice 90s throwback first-person shooter. And then you get to the second episode, and the level design just opens way, way up. There's a map called the Escher Labs that at first looks to be just a generic science laboratory level, and then all of a sudden, as the name implies, it becomes an MC Escher painting of a level. It's difficult to describe. I'm sure we'll have some footage of the level playing over me talking, because it's incredible. It blew my mind, and I believe I saw an interview with David Szymanski saying that that level specifically was kind of kickstarted his creative workflow again. He was stuck on what to do, and then he was like, "Oh, hold on, I could do something kind of cool with this level, huh?" Ooh. And then he got going again, and then episode 3 was incredible because it calls back to a bunch of other levels from earlier in the game, but they're all twisted and corrupted. Whew. Love it. Also, there's for any Blood fans, there's not really a cameo, but there's a certain voice actor who shows up near the end of the game will take you by surprise. I was surprised myself. But Dusk is currently available on PC, and I want to say Mac as well, with a Switch port coming hopefully this year.
That's what you said last time, too.
It is what I said last time.
That is what you said last time.
And nothing's been said since.
And nothing happened. The end. So what have I been playing? I've been playing the newest addition to a nearly 20-year-long franchise of Forza with the newly released Forza Horizon 5. I found out that you're not supposed to pronounce it Forza, it's Forza. Thank you, Italy, for pronouncing things wrong.
Did you get that from their Twitter?
Did they make a post about that?
I think they did.
Did they really? I didn't even know that.
I want to say they did, because I seem to recall seeing something about that from their account.
I didn't know that. I just remember that one time I was playing online and some guy was correcting a little child. It's like, I'm playing Forza, it's Forza! And I was like, is it really?
Gatekeeping a child.
Gatekeeping the child in the game where you run around in the car. Okay. All right, you were a driver, because this is a spin-off because of Forza Motorsport. You were a driver in a festival that takes place all across the world called Forza Horizon. And this time they have traveled to Mexico, of all places, to perform, huge driving stunts, engage in a multitude of races, and, your character, of course, tries to be the best character in the world of racing. And there is so much to do, and it's kind of great how much they kind of tailor make this game for you. Now, I'm a fan of arcadey racing games that are over the top and not realistic, like Burnout Paradise and Need for Speed. But if you mess around in the settings, bada bing, bada boom, it plays just like it. Plays just like it. Or if you want the hyper-realistic simulation of car driving, you can also mess with the settings to make that too. And yeah, what if you just don't want to race? What if you just want to drive around all the cool volcanoes and look at all the cool dust storms? You can just do that too. You can free roam and it'll add progression to the game system. Along with that, you can also customize cars, make your own races, or you can play cool multiplayer modes. However, that is the one issue, is that multiplayer doesn't work because there's kind of 10 million people playing it in the first month the game comes out, and I don't think the server's ready to handle it, and there's like at least 8 different game modes specifically for online, including a Battle Royale mode called the Eliminator, which sucks, but it's there if you like it. So they're trying to fix it right now, but it's still good. Forza Horizon 3 is my favorite, but however, you can't play it anymore because they delisted it, but you can play this one, and this one's pretty good too. Forza Horizon 5 is available on all Xbox consoles.
But Howard, you're forgetting a very important part of this game.
What? Oh, yes, okay.
How could you forget?
All right, so not only are there cars, there are dune buggies, trucks, officially licensed NASCAR cars, officially licensed Hot Wheel cars, the Warthog from Halo. They are all in the game. There's about 500 or so cars, and guess what? They all go vroom. Most important part.
I've been playing something we don't talk about on this show all that often, a mobile game. I usually dunk on mobile games quite a lot, but this one, Godzilla Battle Line, is actually a lot of fun. It's basically just you go up against another player on some other corner of the world. Each person puts down a bunch of monsters or other forces or what have you from various Toho properties, and you duke it out to see who wins. Matches last about 3 minutes. That's if you can get a match, because I hadn't played it for a long time, and then I finally picked it up again, and now it's almost impossible to find a match without it crashing on you. And I haven't played it a lot since finding that out. But when I can actually find a match, it's a lot of fun. They've updated the game quite a bit, added a lot of new characters. They added Kiryu from Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla and Tokyo SOS, and they actually got the actress who played Akane, the main character in Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla, to do some new voice lines specifically for the game, which is really nice because I know she likes playing the character. And apparently, I've heard they're doing the same with, I gotta look up the actress name, 1 second. I remember the actress name. And apparently they're going to be doing the same with Megumi Odaka. Ogata? Odaka. 1 second. I'm pretty sure that's her name. Megumi. Okay, 1 second. Megumi.
Speaking nonsense anime to me.
And from what I've heard, they're going to be doing something very similar with Megumi
Bro, didn't you just look this up?
I did. I already fucked it up. And from what I've heard, they're going to be doing something similar with Megumi Odaka, who played...
You're going to look up the characters?
No, I don't. Okay, I got it. Jesus Christ, I'm being a bad Godzilla fan today. And from what I've heard, they're going to be doing something very similar with Megumi Odaka, who was the actress who played Miki Segusa in the 80s to 90s Godzilla films. What role she'll actually have, I don't know, because she wasn't really in any of the mechs like Yumika Shako's character was. But Godzilla Battle Line is available on Android and Apple products. Didn't think I'd ever have to say that.
I've been playing Halo: The Master Chief Collection. Released in 2014 by a myriad of developers and published by Microsoft, comes a huge collection of remastered ports of the FPS title Halo, which includes the games Halo Combat Evolved, its anniversary remake, Halo 2, a brand new remaster of Halo 2 called Halo 2 Anniversary, Halo 3, and Halo 4. The game is a wonderful collection which includes the individual multiplayer modes of all 4 of these games, so each feels like its own individual experience preserved in one ginormous collection. And what makes this collection truly great is that it's being constantly updated still 7 years later. Not only did they take the time to include the campaign mode of the spin-off game Halo 3 ODST, they also added Halo Reach in that game's multiplayer as well. And as someone who's never played the Halo series, this is a great collection to start playing the games with, because a lot of these games still hold up, and along with, how they went out of their way to remake the graphics for Halo 2, and you can just swap between the old and the new graphics whenever you want.
Just that push of a button.
Just one push of the button mid-game, you can go back to the old graphics, right? And I think it's a great way to preserve the game, great way to preserve the legacy. My favorite game was Halo 2 with all the beautiful redone graphics.
Made culture.
Yeah, I loved Halo 2. And now I'm just excited to play Halo Infinite from this collection. I didn't play Halo 5 though. Why would I play Halo 5? It's not in the collection. I don't care. But now you can get Halo, the Master Chief Collection, on Xbox consoles and PC. So what have I been playing? I've been playing the horror game Layers of Fear 2. A horror game made by Blooper Team that's a sequel to the award-winning game Layers of Fear. The game has a mainly separate plot to the first game, whereas the first game follows a mad painter on a quest to finish his masterpiece. In the sequel, we have to play as an actor who is filming with a mysterious director on a cruise ship. As you keep exploring the ship, you learn about your past, your childhood abuse, and your future as the director, played by Tony Todd of Candyman fame, basically, goads you, tells you what to do, where to go, what you're doing in life, how you're doing, throughout the whole entire story. The game has you walking down hallways and experiencing scares galore, and that's kind of really mainly it. It takes the approach of horror that Amnesia: The Dark Descent took, where you don't really have weapons, you just have to use your wits to dodge the monsters, but in this game you just kind of run faster than them. It's kind of scary the first time, but it just turns into the same running down the hallway consistently, and the plot's really underbaked, as it's just loaded with backstory with no satisfying story when you find it out in the end. But it's a step forward for the first game, and honestly, it's less buggy, it's really pretty, and they fixed a lot of issues from the first game. It's a cheap game, bringing up to only about $20, and it has a pretty fun jump scare or two. And honestly, it's not that bad. You could do a lot worse. It's Layers of Fear 2 is now available on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and Switch.
As for what I've been playing, in light of Marvel Studios' Loki establishing all sorts of multiverse madness, I've been playing LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2, and it's not great. After the first was one of the best LEGO games I've played personally, the sequel is an absolute slog to play. I have only just opened up the world map, and I have barely any drive to go back to it. I don't know what it is. There's nothing objectively wrong with the game. It's just boring. And I don't see how that happened, because it's doing all this kind of multiverse stuff. So I don't see how it could be boring. Because it's got all the cool Marvel comic characters. Spider-Man Noir's in it. Spider-Man Noir's a cool guy. But how is the game just boring? I don't know how Traveler's Tales accomplished it, but they made a LEGO game that was unsatisfying to play. All LEGO games are satisfying to play. That's the whole point. Because it's so children can play them and have a good time. How did this happen?
He's a grown man. That should be even easier than a child.
I am. Oh, I'm 24. Oh no.
Oops.
LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2 is now available to play on PS4, Xbox consoles, and PC. Play it if you want, I guess. What have I been playing? I've been playing Tripwire Interactive's self-proclaimed Shark PG, which isn't that great a pun now that I say it out loud. But it's an RPG where you play as a shark, specifically a bull shark. It's the story, if you can really call it that, is presented as a National Geographic / Animal Planet documentary style game. And, well, you go around, you eat fish, you eat people, and you eat mean fish. And that's about the extent of the game. But despite it being very, very, very repetitive, it's still a lot of fun, and I blasted through it in probably less than a week. There's still enough there, despite the repetitiveness, to keep one entertained. You know, all the various evolutions. I had fins that, when I dodged, I would give off an electrical spark that would stun enemies in the area. I had a tail that I could shoot out a ball of poison at enemies. It was awesome. And then there's almost over half of the landmark collectibles are pop culture references, which are pretty great. My personal favorite was the one where the narrator, played by the great Chris Parnell, you find a T-Rex skeleton, and he says, if your favorite dinosaur is the T-Rex, you're boring, and you should probably find a different favorite dinosaur.
True and based.
Exactly. I have yet to play the DLC that just recently came out, Truth Quest. I've heard it's very good. It sounds really interesting because it's all about conspiracy theories and apparently also kaiju, which, you know,
That's the brand.
that's my brand. But I've heard it's very good, and then apparently there's another DLC coming at some point that's cyberpunk based, which cyberpunk sharks, that's a combination I can get on board with. Maneater is currently out on PlayStation consoles, Xbox consoles, and PC.
So what have I been playing? I've been playing the newly released Psychonauts 2, the long-awaited sequel to the 2005 title Psychonauts. This game has been through hell and back, starting development in 2014 from a crowdfunding campaign, originally published by Starbreeze Studio. That studio went bankrupt in 2018, which canceled the project until Microsoft bought Double Fine and gave them the funds necessary to complete it. And oh my god, this game, phenomenal. The game stars Raz immediately after the VR game Rhombus of Ruins, which is recapped in the first 5 minutes. You don't need to play the first one, okay? You don't. They give a cute little drawing intro about what happened in the last game in Rhombus of Ruins. So you're set. He's helping the agents of psychics called the Psychonauts after rescuing the head of the company from the mad dentist, Dr. Lobato. You probe his mind and you find out that he was paid off by a horrific psychic being known as Maligula. Raz must then help the Psychonauts find the mole and put a stop to Maligula, all while restoring the company to the former glory. The game has you exploring multiple minds of NPCs. Because it's a platformer, you actually explore people's minds, and they're all narratively driven levels. So it's not desert level, hills, spooky level. No, they're levels built around characters' personalities are the ones you go in. So this, while it's cute, you know, because you'll go into stuff like, you know, oh, a dentist, it's a dentist world, it's a dentist office. It also tackles a lot of mental issues with levels based off of it, like gambling, multi-personality disorder, and alcoholism, and one of my personal favorite levels, Bob's Bottles. The game is worth an over 15-year wait and is personally now my game of the year until Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania comes out. Sorry, I'm not sorry at all. Psychonauts 2 is available on Xbox consoles, PS4, and PC. So what have I been playing? I've been playing the 2019 title, River City Girls. A beat-em-up developed by WayForward and published by Arc System Works, a spin-off from the Kunio-kun franchise, which includes series such as River City and Double Dragon. The game stars two very, and I'm being serious, it's not original characters, two very obscure characters, Kyoko and Misako, as they ravage the town of River City to save their boyfriends, which are the main characters from River City.
If you're a fan of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the video game, you'll know that for that game, River City franchise was a big inspiration because half the moves in the gameplay was stolen from River City directly. So if you've played that game, this game works like a breeze. You'll understand everything completely, which includes things such as beating up dudes galore and shopping for food and accessories to boost your stats. The game also features a ton of YouTube personalities as voice actors, such as the Game Grumps as the brothers from Double Dragon, Cryotic, Rubber Ross, and my favorite up-and-coming voice actor, ProZD, also known as Sungwon Cho. The game is a blast, with the comedy being on point and laugh-out-loud hilarious, and it has two-player co-op, and it'll statistically be twice the fun. River City Girls is now available on Xbox, PlayStation 4, and PC, with a PlayStation 5 version coming out in the future. So what have I been playing? I've been playing Saints Row the Third Remastered. The third game in the series that basically just parodies GTA. They actually remastered it. It originally came out sometime, I want to say like early 2010s. They remastered it for next gen. And oh my god, the difference is actually stunning. I'll show some pictures of the before and after, but I've seen some articles saying that graphically this is one of the biggest remasters that anyone has ever done, and you can tell. You can tell. There's new lighting systems, new textures, new everything, right? Even though it's still the same game repackaged and all that jazz. What's the game about? The game is, again, a parody of GTA. So after taking over the town twice, in the third game, they're basically celebrities and they rob banks and everyone just lets them do it. Fun. And basically, no one likes the fact that they're celebrities. So, new town to take over, mayhem ensues, absolute chaos, and with 3 new gangs, a bunch of weird Europeans, luchadors, and emo hackers. As ridiculous as this sounds.
That's what I call a fun Saturday night.
That's what we call a smorgasbord. The game is, to reiterate, absolute chaos. You can do whatever you want. You can play a bunch of mini games where you're in a helicopter shooting cars. You can run around the town stealing cars and making them look like cool sports cars and drive them around the town. Fend off zombie invasions, or just dress up like a guy in a hot dog suit and just go to town destroying everything like a delinquent. It's incredibly fun. One thing I did notice, because I haven't played the game since it came out, the story, incredibly short. It only takes like less than 10 hours to beat the story, and they added all the DLC campaigns, and the DLC campaigns are also short. So like, story's about 12 hours, give or take. I think to complete everything, it takes about 30. So like, if you can get this for like $20, honestly, pretty good value, pretty good deal, pretty fun game. Also, PSA, this game isn't for children in any way, shape, or form. Please don't buy this for your kid. Like at all, one bit, don't do it.
The ESRB exists for a reason.
Yeah, don't blame me. There's a lot of reasons people don't like the game, and it's not because, it's violent. It's because of a lot of bad things. Too many bad things. Saints Row the Third the remastered edition is now available on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. So what have I been playing? Well, I've been playing the re-release of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the movie, the game. Complicated title, but I swear, stay with me, it's good. The game was released in 2010 to coincide with the movie that came out that has the same name, X the game part of the title. And it was taken off of all digital storefronts in 2014. Also, not to mention, that was when it was PS3 and Xbox 360. We're not in that time period anymore, so they took it off of all digital stores. And there's no physical copies or discs to play it on, so you had to pirate it to play it. However, Ubisoft decided that in January, to everyone's enjoyment, they re-released it with all the DLC the game had. What is it? It's a game that follows the movie based on the comics of the same name, as you play as Scott Pilgrim on his quest to defeat Ramona Flowers' 7 evil exes. It's a 4-player co-op beat-em-up where you fight hipsters throughout the streets of Ontario, Canada. Play as Scott, Ramona, Steven, Kim, Knives, and Wallace, fighting every evil ex so Scott can live happily ever after with Ramona. The game features some fantastic music by chiptune band Anamanaguchi, and the gameplay is excellent as you can just throw dudes at each other, call for ninja assists, or just throw a stop sign at somebody. It pays homage to games that inspired it like Streets of Rage because, you know, it's also just a great game in general, both of them. But it also is full of so much comic book Easter eggs for the original fans of the series. I personally find this to be one of my favorite beat-em-ups of all time, and I love the comics. So this is like a match made in heaven. It even got a run featured on the website Limited Game Runs, which everyone has been asking ever since the website started if they could do a physical re-release of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game. But now they got it! And it comes with cool stuff like a redrawn cover of Sonic Adventure 1 with Scott doing the Sonic pose. It got drumsticks, and there's even a vinyl repressing of the soundtrack. Can't pre-order it anymore by the time this comes out, but you should still visit the website anyways. They always have some fun exclusive runs. And right now, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game is available on Xbox consoles, PlayStation consoles, and PC. So what have I been playing? I've been playing a lot of this game called Soma. Soma is a game made and published by Frictional Games in 2015. We mentioned them on our Halloween episode. They made Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Basically, you play as a person who wakes up after a brain scan to find himself in a mechanical body underwater hundreds of years into the future. And the future is full of this weird, like cybernetic humanoid monsters roaming this base that used to be inhabited by thousands of people. And now all the people are gone. It's a really good story. It asks a lot of questions. It's very dark at some points with how depressing the story can be. And honestly, that alone is worth it, especially when I got it on sale for $3.
Ooh.
But be warned, because I am kind of lukewarm on this game, because it has a fantastic story. And like the monsters are kind of cool, like the first initial ones. And because you're a robot, the monsters are also robots. So when you get near them, your screen starts flickering. There's actual screen tearing the closer the monster gets to you, and like graphical glitches done on purpose for like a visual flair. But for a horror game, it's really not that scary. And there's not much to do when you see a monster. Because the game's all a hallway. And they put the monster in front of you. Now in Amnesia, you could go and hide in a room, but you can't hide in a room, so you just have to walk back down the hallway into another hallway, and hope the monster can't find you. And then go back down the hallway and hope he's not there anymore.
Oh, well.
It's kind of infuriating, and it gets to the point where it's easier just to let the monster kill you, because then the monster will spawn behind you in the hallway, and you'll spawn in the same place, so you can just keep going forward.
Speedrun tactics.
Literally. And the whole game's a straight line, so it's I'd basically say it's a walking simulator kind of to a degree.
So it's kind of like PT in a way?
It's like PT, but none of the puzzles of PT. So if you want a really, really good story in 6 hours with a kind of okay game, I recommend Soma. Because the ending made me rethink my life just a little tiny bit.
Ooh, that's always good.
It's always good. Soma is now available on PS4, Xbox One, and PC, and is also playable on the next-gen consoles PS5 and Xbox Series X.
So with my brand spanking new shiny PlayStation 5, I've been playing Spider-Man Miles Morales. A follow-up to Insomniac's hit 2018 game Spider-Man, Miles Morales offers players a brand new story that follows the titular character on his journey to set himself apart from Peter Parker's Spider-Man. Arguably better than the original, I feel like Miles Morales smooths out a lot of the problems the first game had. You know, no extended sections of playing as someone who's not Spider-Man. The most important thing for me, side missions and activities that don't feel overwhelmingly repetitive. You know, you don't get 10 of the same crime in the span of 10 minutes. And I think it crafts like a more heartfelt narrative that feels more in touch with the setting, you know, New York, than the previous game did. And I think it tugs on the heartstrings, especially at the end, just as much as the first one did too. Spider-Man Miles Morales is now available on the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 4.
Well, folks, today is the David Talks About Star Wars episode because I've been playing Star Wars Battlefront 2, the newer version. Released in 2017 by Battlefield developers DICE, the sequel to the reboot of the classic third-person shooter, was lambasted on launch for its over-reliance on microtransactions and grind-heavy progression system. It didn't take long for Electronic Arts to remove microtransactions from the game entirely, as well as rework the progression to the point where now, the game's actually pretty good. I've never really been one for multiplayer games because I tend not to be very good at them. And while that is still the case for Battlefront 2, the fun I'm able to have still playing game modes like Supremacy and Heroes vs. Villains reminds me of the good old days playing the original Star Wars Battlefront 2 on the PlayStation 2. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is available on Xbox. What's one?
You can just say Xbox because anything on the one plays
Yeah,
on the
that's
Series
true.
X.
Star Wars Battlefront 2 is available on Xbox, PlayStation 4, and PC. Go play it.
I have been playing a lot of Super Mario Sunshine, released back on the GameCube as a launch title in 2002, now playable temporarily via the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection. The game features Mario acquiring a new gadget called Flood to clean up Isle Delfino as he's accused of polluting the whole entire island with paint. I don't know how many worlds the game has, I think it's about 8. You go in and do a task every single level like Super Mario 64 and perform a task in order to get a shine sprite. And these shine sprites make the island bigger, a little hub world. It's just, I'm getting so much nostalgia, Dave. It is so fun, the platforming's so great, and even if the port itself in Super Mario 3D All-Stars is kinda really buggy, and when I mean kinda really buggy, I mean, oh good lord, is this really buggy? The game's fun. It's really fun to just get a task and be like, okay, which nozzle on Flood do I need? How is the fastest way to get here? What is the safest way to get here? How does the level change enough for me to like do these ideas on the fly? And the best part about these levels is there's no time limit, so you can spend an hour in these levels. And I also didn't realize how bad I was when I first played that game because it took me like hours to get like 30 shine sprites, but I think I was waiting for a plumber, and I had it on Switch handheld because I borrowed my mom's copy, my mom's console. So I was playing, I must have been really bad as a kid because it took hours for me to get 30 shine sprites, but when I played on a Switch waiting for a plumber to come to my house to fix something.
So you were playing as a plumber while you were waiting for a plumber.
Exactly, plumberception over here. I got 30 shine sprites.
This episode of Doritos, Connections, and Mountain Dew brought to you by the Plumbers Association of America. I don't even know if that's a thing.
We support the real boys in blue. I really must have been bad because I didn't realize that the blue coins actually gave you shine sprites. So I'm like, what if I just collect these blue coins as I do everything? And I accidentally unlocked everything all at once. Like I got the Yoshi and the 2 nozzles.
Oh,
There's
shit.
like one F. Quiet, Dave.
Sorry.
I'm just kidding. I can edit that out. I got it all at once. So I must have been really, really bad at the game. But I love it. Like now I'm really halfway kind of decent at it. But it's so much fun just jumping around, and all the music's nice. The game's colorful. There's so much variety. You can get Super Mario Sunshine available in the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection, or go to a local mom and pop shop and spend $80 on a used copy for GameCube. Welcome back to what we've been playing. I have been playing Yakuza 0, released in the States in 2017 by publisher Sega of all people, you know, the guy with Sonic, is a prequel to the long-running series, starring series protagonist Kazuma Kiryu and Goro Majima as they deal with the Dojima's power struggle to purchase the mysterious empty lot from separate angles. While Kiryu is framed for murder on this lot, Majima comes with redemption from killing the owner of this lot. The story is filled with so many twists and emotional moments in this game due to its well-acted story and dialogue. And the gameplay is a whole nother story, as it's an open world game where you explore 1980s Tokyo and Osaka, Japan, where instead of shooting things like most games, like in GTA, you punch things with your fist, like a man. Featuring a robust fighting system with over-the-top flashy finishers, and if fighting isn't your thing, you can then switch to doing all sorts of mini-games and side quests galore with multiple side mechanics, such as racing pocket cars, managing real estate, running a cabaret club, and even being the disco king as you dance against Michael Jackson. Even messing around the city will reward you in sub-stories, which will give you prizes, 2 hidden bosses, or you can just karaoke and watch goofy mini-games. While it's a serious crime thriller, it can also just be a little goofy when you want it to be, or be cathartic when you give a street punk a powerbomb. Experience the actual Yakuza-approved crime thriller on Xbox One, PS4, and PC.